Hello, welcome back to Blind Accessibility Tips. Always a pleasure to have you. Today I'm going to show you how to insert, resize, optimize, and work with images in Microsoft Word, all with using your screen reader, like NVDA. So whether you need images for a report, a flyer, or some other form of document in Microsoft Word, we're going to show you how to do it today. So stay with us. So sometimes as visually impaired persons, we don't like to work with things that are too visual, and that includes working with images, right? But no, we don't have to be totally afraid of it. There are some things we can do for ourselves. Yes, it would be good to get input from sighted persons at certain intervals. There are some things we can do independently. So let's go ahead now and look at what we can do working with images in Microsoft Word. Firstly, let's now look at inserting a picture into our document. So the first thing you want to ensure is that your cursor is where you want your image to be placed. So I have here on my screen, I have two paragraphs. Let me see, control up arrow.
Video provides a
That's my first paragraph. Let me go down to paragraph 2, control down.
Themes and styles all.
That's my second paragraph. Now I want my picture to be inserted between these two paragraphs. Now that my cursor is at the beginning of paragraph 2, I'm going to press enter.
Themes and styles also.
And that should cause paragraph 2 to go down and a blank line to be left above. So let me up arrow.
Blank.
Good. That's the blank space right between paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. Now I can insert my picture. So to insert a picture, you can do it right here in Microsoft Word, or really if you have any picture open in front of you, whether it's from an internet source, maybe you have a web page open with a picture in front of you, or maybe you have an image from your computer open in front of you, you could really just copy and paste that image right here into Microsoft Word. But today we're going to look at the methods that Microsoft Word actually provides for us to insert a picture directly into our document. All right, so to do that, you would have to go into the main menu. So first, press Alt.
Ribbon tabs tab control expanded. Home tab selected Alt, H2.
Then we're trying to insert something, so we would right arrow to insert.
Insert tab selected Alt, N3 of 11.
And then we're going to tab through to find pictures.
Comments top, editing share collapse, insert group, blank page, page break, tables group, illustrations grouping 3 of 9. Pictures collapsed, insert pictures from your computer, stock image library or online sources. Alt, N, P1 of 7.
Good. So the first thing you notice there, the pictures button is actually found under the illustrations sub-tab. So be careful not to tab too quickly because you might jump past it. The next thing is at the end a while ago, you heard it give the key tip Alt N P, which means the next time if you do want to insert another picture, you wouldn't have to do the long way that we just did. You could just use the key tip Alt, then press N, then press P, and you would open the little menu that we're going to get now. But we already did the long way and we're on the pictures button. Let us press enter.
Insert picture from grouping 1 of 1. This device.
And it says insert picture from, and the first option here is from your device. So if you were to press enter on this option, you would get the file picker, and that is where you could choose a location on your device, on your computer, where you know you have a picture saved that you want inserted. But we're not going to use that option right now. Let's continue down arrow in this menu.
Stock images.
This option here is stock images. If you were to press enter on this, you'd be able to gain access to some images, some high quality images that maybe you'd have to purchase. Let me down arrow.
Online pictures.
Online pictures, and this is what we're going to use right now. Let's press enter.
Insert picture. Please wait while we load pictures. Web content region. Please wait while type a query and then press enter to search for image results on Bing. Press
Good. So you realize that once you press enter on online pictures, we are now placed on a page, like a browse page, and you heard NVDA automatically go into browse mode. And that is because it has been placed into an edit field where we can type our query, and Microsoft Word will search Bing for our query to give us images that reflect what we typed in as our query. I am just going to type computer. That's what I want to search for an image of.
COMPUTER.
And then press enter.
Results list. Iitsahan April 16, 2025 Iitsahan with Kaibahang Linet R. Not selected 1 of 20. 20 results found.
20 results found, and it gave you the information for the first image it is finding. So you can actually use your arrow keys to go through these search options. That's the first image. Let me right arrow.
More actions button. More.
There's a more actions button. Let's go past it. Right arrow again.
Free images. Laptop, desk, Mac, Apple, table, iPad, technology, web. Not selected 2 of 20.
And this is another image, and it's giving us some information about the image. When you hear this kind of information, there are sometimes tags on the images online, or there are alt text, and really alt text is information provided for us as blind and visually impaired persons, giving us information about what an image or some other visual content is about, right? But let me right arrow again.
More actions button. More. Midge cat and computer midge. Our new young kitten cat is.
Now, sometimes you have to be careful with using some of the images online, if especially you want to use your document or use the image for commercial purposes. You would have to do some more research on each of these images if you know you want to use it for commercial purposes. Usually, when the pictures have a CC license, it is fine to use for non-commercial purposes. But since we're just doing this for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to go back to the first image here.
More action, free image, more action, free images.
And press enter on it.
Selected.
And it says selected, which means that actually you could go through any of the other pictures below and select as many images out of this listing here that Bing has provided for us as you wish. And then after you have finished pressing enter on those pictures that you want to select them, then you'd have to tab
Clickable insert 1 button
to the insert button, and you notice this one is saying insert 1 because we only selected one picture, and we're going to just press enter on it.
Document 1 Word document. Picture 1 graphic selected. Layout options, text wrapping and positioning available. A computer on a table.
And it has been inserted, and if you notice, upon insertion of the picture, NVDA also started to tell us that there are some layout options for the picture, and I found that once you're on the picture, you can press the control key.
In line with text grouping 1 of 2. In line with text 1 of 1.
Options come up, and the first one here says in line with text. Let me down arrow.
With text wrapping grouping 2 of 2. Square 1 of 6.
Let me down arrow.
Top and bottom 4 of 6.
Top and bottom. And I'm just going to escape out of this.
Document 1 Word doc.
We will deal with layout options later on. But yes, we have inserted our picture. Let me up arrow.
Page 1 section 1 from the different galleries. Document.
That is the end of my paragraph 1. Let me down arrow.
Graphic selected. A computer on a table. AI generated content may be incorrect.
And that is the picture. And it is giving us some information about the picture. Some AI generated information, alt text for us. We will see and talk about alt text later on. Let me down arrow.
Themes and styles also help keep your.
And that is the beginning of my second paragraph, which means that my picture has indeed been inserted between both my paragraphs. Now let's look at resizing the image. Alright, so firstly, let's go back up to the image.
Graphic selected. A computer with a monitor and keyboard. AI generated content may be.
I'm going to press the home key to make sure the cursor is in front.
A computer with a monitor and keyboard. AI generated.
To do anything with the image, first we should select it. The cursor is in front, so let's use shift right arrow to select the image.
A computer with a monitor and keyboard. AI generated content may be incorrect. Graphic selected. A computer with a monitor and.
Alright, and it's repeating the name and everything about the image. So when you have an image selected, you're going to find out that your context menu has some new options which pertain to the image, as well as your main menu will have a new tab that also pertains to the image. Let's first deal with the context menu. That's easier to deal with. Alright, so firstly, as we said, we're going to resize. We're going to try to find that option in our context menu. Now, to bring up our context menu, we press our applications key or shift F10.
Cut, remove the selection and put it on the clipboard so you can paste it somewhere else. T1 of 2.
Let's down arrow through this context menu to find size.
Copy, edit picture, change pic, bring to front, send to back, link split, save as, view source, insert caption, wrap text, view alt text, no content, size and position. See more options for changing the size of your shape or picture. Z3 of 4.
Size and position. And at the end, it told us that the tip to get through this menu quickly to find size is Z or Z, right? Which means that to get to size quickly, the next time after we press applications key or shift F10, we could have just pressed Z and it would automatically open as dialog box. But since we've already down arrowed to size, let's just press enter here to open the size dialog box.
Layout dialog, height, width, rotate, scale, original size 19.
And it's open. Now the first thing we want to know about the image is that if the aspect ratio of the image is locked, it means that if you increase the height of the image, the width would also automatically increase to maintain proper proportion of the image. And if you do the same to the width, if you were to increase the width, then the height of the image would also increase to maintain the proper proportion of the image. And usually by default, Microsoft Word locks the aspect ratio of the image to make sure that the image doesn't become distorted. So let's tab through this dialog box to see if the aspect ratio is indeed locked.
Tab control, absolute rotation, height, width, edit, layout dialog, height, width, rotate, scale, original size 19.05 centimeters, height, 23.31 centimeters, width, lock aspect ratio, checkbox, check, Alt plus A.
Here we are, lock aspect ratio, and it says checkbox check. So yes, the aspect ratio is locked. So let me see, let's shift tab to the absolute height and see if we can change it.
Width, rotate, absolute, layout dialog, height, width, rotate, scale, original, absolute height, edit selected 13.01 centimeters.
13.01 centimeters. Let's tab to the absolute width to see what size is here for the absolute width.
Absolute width, edit selected 15.92 centimeters.
15.92. All right. If I were to increase the width of the image here, let me change it to 20. I'm just going to type 20.
20.
Which would mean that that's 20 centimeters. Let me shift tab twice to find back absolute height to see if that has changed.
Layout, absolute height, edit selected 16.35 centimeters.
You realize the absolute height has indeed changed. It was 13.01 before, now it has changed to 16 point something, right? But we don't want that. We want to change our image to a specific height and a specific width that we were told would fit into our document. Yes, we run the risk of distorting the image, but then we can look on it or have a sighted person look on it and decide if that's what we want. So let us tab to the aspect ratio.
Layout, absolute width, rotation, height, width, layout dialog, relative to original pictures. Lock aspect ratio, checkbox, check, Alt plus A.
It says checkbox checked here. I'm going to press the space bar to uncheck.
Space, not checked.
Not checked. Okay, great. Let me go back up now to the absolute height.
Width, height, rotation, absolute, layout, absolute height, edit selected 16.35 centimeters.
I'm going to reduce this back to 13.
1, 3.
Just type the 13. Now let's tab to the absolute width.
Absolute width, edit selected 20.
And this is still at 20. You realize it has not moved. Even though I did alter the absolute height above, it didn't change here because of course the aspect ratio is no longer locked. But for the width here, I'm going to change this to, just work with 10 just for argument's sake.
1, 0.
All right. Now that we're done, we can either tap to the OK button, or I'm just going to press enter from here.
Document 1, Word, document. A computer with a monitor and keyboard. AI generated content may be incorrect.
And we have successfully resized our image based on whatever specifications we wanted. Now mind you, if you do not have any specific measurements for an image, you just want to make your image look bigger or smaller, or depending on what you're looking at, then you would not need to uncheck the checkbox of the aspect ratio in the size dialog box. All you would have to do after opening the size dialog box is tab to height or width, change the measurement in either one of those boxes, and press enter. The image would either decrease or increase based on the measurement you had typed, and you wouldn't have to worry about the image being distorted because the aspect ratio would remain intact. Now let's look at how we deal with text with the image. All right, so we have inserted our image, we have changed the size of our image. Now let's look at how the text is set around the image. My image is already selected, so I'm going to go ahead and press Applications key or Shift F10 again to get my context menu.
Cut, remove the selection and put it on the clipboard so you can paste it somewhere else.
And I'm going to down arrow through this context menu to find wrap text.
Copy, put, edit picture, change pic, bring to front, send to back, link split, save as, view sort, insert, wrap text collapse. Choose how your text wraps around the selected object.
All right, it says wrap text collapsed, which means that there's a little side menu that can come up Let me right arrow to open the little menu.
In line with text, Alt plus I1 of 1.
And the first option here is in line with text. Now this is the option that is what we have in our document right now. Inline text, meaning that text is above, then you have the image, and then the rest of the text below. There's no text around it. Let me down arrow.
Square not selected, Alt plus S1 of 4.
Which means that the text would wrap around the top, side, and bottom. Let me down arrow.
Tight not selected, Alt plus T2 of 4.
Tight also means that the text would wrap around side and above it and below it, but it would be tighter than square. Let me down arrow.
Through not selected, Alt plus H3 of 4.
So you can have an option here where the text goes through the image. Of course, that means that some of the text would be obscure because it's through the image, but maybe you would need for perhaps cover page. But let us try the option that says square and look at how it looks. So let's go back up.
In front, top and through not tight not square not selected, Alt plus S1 of 4.
But let's press enter on this option to see it more clearly.
Document 1, Word, document, a computer with.
And there I have it. The text is actually above and to the side of the image and a little below. If that's the option you want, that's fine. Personally, I want to go back to inline. So let me go back into my context menu with applications key or shift F10.
Cut, remove the selection and put it on the clipboard so you can paste it somewhere else. T1 in line with text not selected, Alt plus I1 of 1.
And the first option here is in line with text. I'm going to press enter on this.
Document 1, Word, document, a computer with a monitor and keyboard AI.
And it has returned to the way I had it. Text is above it, text is below. So there's no issue here with our screen reader when it comes to reading. They say that this is the best option for accessibility purposes. You can also align the image in the body of the document, much like how you align your text, whether it is centered or to the left or right aligned, same way with the image. So let's go back up onto the image.
Graphic selected, a computer with a monitor.
Then let us select it, shift right arrow.
A computer with a monitor.
And now we can apply the same alignment keyboard shortcuts that we use for text. Right now it should be left aligned because that is by default. So let me go ahead and press Ctrl E to center it. And you realize it has moved. For those of us who have some vision, the image has moved to the center. It hasn't told us anything, but it has moved to the center. Let me try Ctrl R. And for those of us who can see, the image has jumped to the right, meaning it is now right aligned. But let me go back and press Ctrl L to left align it. And it has gone back to the left. So yes, you can choose how the text wraps around the image, as well as you can align the image in the document, whether it's going to be left, right aligned, or centered. Now let us optimize our images. Firstly, alt text. Now I was explaining to you before that alt text is some information that is provided on an image or other forms of objects to let blind and visually impaired persons know and understand what some visual content is presenting to us. So we have this image here in our document, and yes, the AI has provided us some information, but of course we know sometimes AI can be inaccurate if you do not see at all, or if you're not seeing the images so properly. You may want to, at this interval, get the assistance of a sighted person to tell you exactly what is in your image so that you can be sure what the image is. And once you have done that, you can then go into the alt text section of the image and write information about the image so that other blind and visually impaired persons who may read your document would also know what this image is about. So I've already selected my image. I'm just going to go ahead and press applications key or shift F10.
Cut, remove the selection and put it on the clipboard so you can paste it somewhere else.
And I'm going to go down to find alt text.
Copy, edit pick, change pick, bring to front, send to, link split, save as, view sort, insert, wrap text, view alt text.
View alt text. So I'm going to press enter on this.
Document 1, Word, alt text window, pane.
All right, let's tab.
Approve alt text checkbox not checked. Select the checkbox to verify that the alt text above is accurate.
All right, so this checkbox here is asking us to approve the alt text that was provided by the AI, right? Let me shift tab to actually hear it properly.
Description edit multi-line selected. A computer with a monitor and keyboard. AI generated content may be incorrect.
A computer with a monitor and keyboard connected, and it tells you it's AI generated and that it might be inaccurate. But I do know that this is an image of a computer with a monitor and keyboard, so it is correct. So let me tab to the checkbox to approve it.
Approve alt text checkbox not checked. Select the checkbox to verify that the alt text above is accurate.
And it says not checked. So I'm going to press space bar.
Space. Checked.
Which now means that we have approved the AI generated alt text for the image, and so that is the information that screen readers will read to other blind and visually impaired persons reading this document. Now, if you did not want to accept the AI generated alt text, you can shift tab back to that edit field.
Description edit multi-line. Selected a computer with a monitor and keyboard.
That's the AI generated information. You could just delete that information and retype what you want for your alt text. But we are satisfied with this. We have already checked the checkbox for it to be approved. So all we need to do now is escape.
Document. A computer with a monitor and keyboard. Graphic selected.
And you realize now it's reading you the alt text of the image without saying AI generated, not approved. Another thing to do to optimize your image is to compress them. Images in a document can cause the document to become very heavy, take up a lot of space, right? Which means that to send them through the internet, through email, or to do even certain things on the document, it will cause the document or the changes to be made to take longer. The document will lag because it is so large. So let's now look at how to compress images. Now, before I had told you that whenever you have an image in your document and it is selected, some new options will appear in your context menu. And we have been using those options. We had used it to look at the wrap text option, look at resizing our images, and so on. But now to compress our image, we will have to go into the main menu. And this is now where we will have to use the new tabs that come up whenever we are focused on an image in Microsoft Word. So let's press Alt to access our main menu.
Ribbon tabs tab control expanded. Home tab selected Alt H2 of 12.
And it's on Home. Let's go across. We are looking for picture tools.
Insert tab. Draw. Layout tab select. References. Mailings tab. Review tab selected. View tab selected Alt. Help tab selected Alt. Picture tools grouping. Picture format tab selected Alt JP 12 of 12.
And this is it, picture tools. This tab only comes up in the main menu if you are focused on an image. So we are trying to compress. So let's tab through to find compress image.
Comments toggle but editing combo box. Share collapsed. Picture format. Corrections collapsed. Color collapsed. Change. Artistic effects. Transparency collapse. Compress pictures. Button compress pictures in the document to reduce its size. Alt.
Compress pictures. That is the option we want. Let us press enter on it.
Compress pictures dialog. Compression options resolution. Compress pictures window. Compression options grouping. Apply only to this picture checkbox checked Alt plus A.
Now this option says apply only to this picture. Now I don't have any other images in my document, so it's fine for this checkbox to be checked. But if you had other images, you want to ensure that those other images are also compressed, so you could have cleared this checkbox by pressing the space bar. I'm just going to tab away from it and leave that up and leave that option. Let's tab.
Delete cropped areas of pictures checkbox check Alt plus D.
Delete cropped areas of pictures. So if you had done some cropping to your images, you would want to ensure that this checkbox here remains checked, because the cropped areas of an image does not disappear. It is still floating around in your document and it is adding to the size of your document. So we would want those cropped sections to be deleted. So yes, we are going to leave this checkbox checked, although we didn't do any cropping, right? But let's move on.
Resolution grouping. Use default resolution radio button checked Alt plus U6 of 6.
Now we're at resolution. So we do know that the quality of the image can also add to the size of the image. It is on the default resolution here, but you could choose to use, for instance, let's up arrow here.
Email 96 ppi minimum.
The email resolution quality would make it 96 ppi. Let me up
Web
arrow.
150 ppi good for web.
The web would make it 150 ppi. Let's up arrow
Print
again.
220 p.
And the print quality would make it 250. So let me go back down to email.
Web email 96 ppi minimize document size for sharing radio button checked Alt plus.
That seems to be the resolution at this point. That would give us the smallest in size. Of course, you would have to decide for yourself what kind of quality you would want. For me, I'm going to go with the lowest one I see here and tab again.
OK button.
And that's it. On the OK button, press enter.
Document 1. Word. Document. A computer with a monitor and keyboard graphic selected.
And we are done. You've just learned how to insert, resize, position, and optimize images or pictures inside Microsoft Word, all with using your keyboard and your screen reader. We used the screen reader NVDA. Which screen reader do you use? Was this tutorial able to help you with working with pictures in Microsoft Word using your screen reader? Let us know in the comments. Alright, we'll see you in the next video.